Namaste, viewers, and welcome to Book Talk with Dr. Meenakshi Jain. I'm sure all of you have been waiting for us to start talking about this wonderful book, Invincible, Somnath, a saga of millennia. Now, of course, we are celebrating not celebrating, but whatever, observing the anniversary, as well as, the rebuilding of Somnath yet another time after independence. But I think one of the points you make is that these sites are known not only because of the temples which were destroyed repeatedly after the Muslim invasions and rebuilt repeatedly, but because of their larger significance. Prabhas, it was called, I think. And in fact, the temples came because of that larger significance.
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
temples commemorated that presence
Yes.
that our early ancestors discovered in these wonderful places. You call them Jyotirlings or you call them the Char Dhams. But please, you tell us what inspired you to write this book.
Uh, the immediate inspiration was, of course, the celebration of 75th year of the building of that temple. But this was a journey of discovery for me also. When you start studying aspects of Indian history, you realize there's so much to learn. And in the case of Somnath, I realized that every sacred site of Hinduism, or whatever name you want to give it, even for the Jains and Buddhists, its history begins with the dawn of civilization. See, the historical memory remembers the destruction of Somnath, but it remembers the glorious history, mythological history, well before Mahmoud Ghaznavi. Now, what was this mythological history? Somnath was the place where the moon god was
So,
cured,
so
Som was cured of an illness by worshipping Shiva.
Shiva.
So, how did it happen? Som, or the moon god, was married to the 27 daughters of Prajapati, Daksh Prajapati. That
Daksha
is the
Prajapati.
27 lunar manifestation. So, imagine you're connecting the site, the deity, and the cosmic and lunar manifestations. So it's all blending,
So this
blending, blending.
Chandra Kala, you see
Yes,
what we
yes,
have these divisions, and how the
yes,
moon traverses these 27 degrees, if you may call it.
yes,
And if I might just add that, some of this is Puranic and post Itihasa, but the idea of Som is so important in the Vedas as well because,
yes,
you have the Savitur or Surya and the balancing, both the balancing light, the balancing deity, and the balancing psychic energy within us is Soma. And Soma is, of
absolutely.
course, you see, because Agni and Surya are connected, and through great tapas, our early ancestors, the rishis and others, they accomplished great deeds. So
Yes,
they were valorous, and
yeah,
so there was that virya in them,
yes,
and and that's why we say prachodayat. You have to
yes,
churn.
yes,
Uh,
yes,
but but I'm saying that when you reach that height of exertion and then accomplishment, you're rewarded with that drop of soma, which is
yes,
that molecule of bliss that we all seek also today in modern science. They call it the dopamine hit. Because without that, every day, I mean, human beings are bliss junkies, if you want to use that term. And our striving and our endeavor is to attain that little drop of bliss. Then it fulfills us, it suffuses our being with that sense of, after the shram, the vishranti. So, what I wanted to say is that the actual, the psychic and spiritual and metaphysical significance of Somnath predates even the Puranic period.
absolutely, much more. So the story goes that, this Som was married to the 27 nakshatras of Daksh Prajapati. And he promised that he would treat all of them equally, but he favored one. So They went to the father and said, he ignores us. So Daksh cursed Som.
Cursed him.
And then Som he goes to the bank of the Arabian Sea, creates a Jyotirling, and he worships that. And then Shiv comes to him and says that, I cannot undo the curse of Daksh, but I can mitigate it. So 15 days you will wax, and on 15 days you will wane. And to protect you, I will wear the crescent moon on my head. So, where does history begin? Where does mythology begin? Where does the narrative of creation begin? It's all a very happy
Intertwined.
mingling. And surprisingly, Somnath, near Somnath, is also the place where Bhagwan Krishna shed
Dwarka,
his
of
mortal
course.
body.
Yes,
So,
yes.
uh, I mean, that is why every part of this land is sacred to us.
Sacred. Correct.
Because there is no part of this land which we do not associate with some important event in a mythological or legendary or actual history.
History.
So, Krishna, why he chooses this place to leave the world. So these are some of the things that we must keep in mind. Now, what happens that this Somnath Mandir is built, and we all know that it is destroyed by Mahmoud Ghaznavi.
Yes.
But there are certain things that we do not know. There are Persian historians who record that, when Mahmoud Ghaznavi dies, they write, now in that land of Kafirs, temples will be built again.
Again.
So, this is the lament of a Persian historian at Mahmoud Ghaznavi's court when Mahmoud Ghaznavi passes away. Then we know accounts by Al Baruni, who says that the ling is taken away. It is divided into four parts, and one part is kept in front of the masjid so that devotees who come to the masjid can tread upon it,
Trample, will trample on
trample
it.
upon it. And what is surprising is that this temple is damaged or destroyed, but the moment Mahmud Ghaznavi goes back, Raja, Chandel Raja, Raja Bhoj Parmar, and the Raja of Lata, they combine together to rebuild that temple or reconstruct that temple. We have to know that when we talk about rebuild the temple, they're not the grand structures that were destroyed, but it is modest
Resumption of
structures
worship.
to
Resumption of
keep the
worship.
memory of that place alive. And there is a account which has been written in that period which says that when Mahmud Ghaznavi was going back, he wanted to take a shorter route back home.
Yes,
So he
yes.
asked the local guides, "Can you
Tell us. Yeah.
tell me the shorter route?" One man said, "I know the shorter route. I will take you." 2 days of marching on that route, they now want water. So Mahmud Ghaznavi says the animals and army, they all need water. Where is the water? That person says, I am one of the priests of the Somnath temple. I brought you deliberately on this route
To the
because
desert.
I
Yeah.
have to take revenge for what you did to my
Correct.
deity.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
this sentiment which percolates again and again, and it is so surprising that this story goes on. But the point is, we are asking, we have shot ahead, we are asking, when was the Somnath temple first built? So, the Somnath temple, it's very difficult to say when it was first built, but according to popular belief, the first temple of Somnath was built by the Pashupata sect. They were the original ascetics devoted to Shiva. And Soma Sharma, he is supposed to be a founder of this. He
Correct.
is supposed to have been associated with that first temple. But we have to confess that no evidence of the first temple has been found.
Exists. Correct.
So now we have evidence of an inscription of 871 CE. That 871 CE evidence talks about a resident of Somnath. So, and it gives the impression that there is a temple there. And the third temple is built by the Solanki or Chalukya ruler Mulraj. So, we have evidence actually beginning from 871, where we don't have the structure, and we have Mulraj building the Somnath temple. So, this far we are quite certain that it is there. Now, what happens is that we have overshot actually, so we should begin over here from here. That Mahmoud Ghaznavi thing, we should follow it after this. So the temple is destroyed by in the time of Bhim, Raja Bhim Solanki. That temple is destroyed by Mahmoud Ghaznavi, and these three kings help to rebuild
Built. Correct.
that temple. So, and then the Muslims say that, they give the description, what happens to the image, etc. Now, what is important, it came as a surprise to me, was the amount of evidence that we have of kings from other parts of India coming on pilgrimage to Somnath. So, there are inscriptions which say that this Kadam king from Goa comes by sea to Somnath. There are kings who give rath to Somnath because they had got it from some other place. So the donations and the presence of kings on pilgrimage to Somnath is also well documented. So, then this
Can I just
story,
ask a question?
yeah,
Amish Tripathi has written a popular novel, a historical piece of historical fiction on Somnath, and there he has a Chola king. So not only coming to Somnath, but trying to take revenge. It's like an Avengers superhero story, and they all go to Ghazni, and I won't give away the ending for those who are interested. But is there any evidence of any Chola king?
no, not
No.
to my knowledge,
Okay, okay.
not to my knowledge. But literature has the advantage of taking
Imagination.
liberty
Yeah.
and then presenting it in a way which really appeals to the reader.
Yes,
So
yes.
he is a very popular writer. And so,
Yes,
but
yes.
I don't have any evidence of that. Now, what happens is that I told you about
The rebuilding by the three kings.
by the
and
thing.
and also how neighboring kings would come and give tributes, or I said also how neighboring kings would come with
Yes,
offerings like a rath,
yes,
or how the Kadamba kings from Goa came by the sea route.
yes. So those are very fascinating evidences that we leave aside. Then, Bhim Dev's one, the person we talked about, his son is Karn one. He was a Shaivite. He built beautiful temples, but we don't know about exactly what he did in Somnath. But Jayasim Siddharaj was the next important king. He built that Rudra Mahale, that,
Oh,
yeah. So he uh, went with his mother because there was a complaint that uh, at a particular ford, the pilgrims were being charged too much. So he went to that place with his mother, and he found that there was a problem, and he forgives that person, but he says that this is my donation to that site and that temple. So, and he comes to Somnath, and he adds a very important stairway
oh,
to the temple, because the temple is destroyed, reconstructed, but in bits,
yes,
and the reconstruction is never the grandeur of the old temple. So
yes.
it's that they built parts of it. So he built the
Stairway.
stairway. Now, we have uh, the next important king is Kumarpal, and he builds a fifth temple, and he was very lenient even towards Jainism. So he had an acharya, Hemchandra, and he
Hemchandra,
tells,
very famous, very
yes.
famous.
So he tells Hemchandra, what is it that I can do that I will be remembered for posterity? So Hemchandra, though he is a Jain, he says, you rebuild that Somnath temple. So uh, he takes him first to Mrityunjay Hills, which is a Jain center, and then they come to Somnath, and there, he uh, appoints one Shaiva ascetic as the head of that Somnath temple. His name is uh, Bhava Brihaspati. He is made the chief priest of that
Please.
Somnath temple. Now, uh, after that, we have, troubled history of the Solankis. Weak kings or kings die early. And then we have Muhammad Ghori attacking, his general attacking. Now, that time, the king was a regent. He was just a few years old. And his mother, she rides on horseback and makes the child sit in front of her, and she defeats the Kauri army led by Aibak. That has become such a popular event in the popular memory of Gujarat. Not only Gujarat, but many other places also. But she is shown as the person who shows the courage
Yes.
to sit on the horseback with a young 3-year old, and she defeats uh, Aibak. Now, then what happens is that the next, but because the history is a little sporadic and
Yes.
episodic, so we have Bhimdev too also building. Now, when we say building the Somnath temple, we can only assume it's in patches. What
Yes.
what they could do, what they could not do, and the resources and the
Yes.
time, etc. Then, after that, the Solanki dynasty is replaced by the Vaghela dynasty. And the
Right.
Vaghela dynasty is the last Hindu dynasty of Gujarat. You know, uh, but one important event that happens at this time, this is an inscription that has survived. It is the Veeraval inscription.
Yes. Yes.
Now, the Veeraval inscription is very interesting because it shows 200 years after the attack of Mahmoud Ghaznavi, the people of Somnath, they allow a trader from Arabia to come purchase land and build a masjid there.
Oh my.
So, I mean, in hindsight, I don't know what to say, but this is a trait that is manifest again and again in the history of India. So, this person, he comes from Arabia and he is given permission to build the masjid at Somnath. So, that inscription has survived and it has been edited by D.C. Sirkar, who was a very eminent epigraphist. And he writes that, so much money will be going for this festival, so much money is going to go for these, maintenance of the masjid, for the staff of the masjid. And the last point is very, very interesting. He says, after all this annual expenditure, whatever is left of the income of my masjid will go to Mecca and Medina.
Oh my.
So DC Sirkar, who edited that inscription, he says it is ironic that he never thought of giving this money to
Yeah.
the country
So
where the
not.
mosque is made with the help of local people. So,
Indeed.
uh,
We have to continue this discussion on Somnath, but can I just ask you a kind of question that arises in the popular mind, which is how is it that Muhammad Ghazni who attacked Somnath had to go through so many Hindu temples on the way to Somnath, and also, except for that one disastrous trip back through the desert, also retreat with his loot through so many Hindu kingdoms, and nobody tried to prevent him.
No, that's not true actually.
Okay,
According to the accounts that I have read, he was very afraid of Raja Bhoj.
right.
And it's recorded that, he was afraid and he never tried to cross paths with Raja Bhoj because he realized that he can be defeated. And there are instances of Hindus trying to
Stop
offer
it.
resistance.
Yes.
It's not that it was a one way victory at all.
No, I didn't mean that. I'm saying
Huh.
that in today's India, for example, of course, we have a modern nation state, but it would be inconceivable, let's say, for an invader to travel that far and go back
Yes.
without, some united or concerted effort. But obviously, at that period, the the notion of the nation in the modern sense didn't exist. So I
The
don't think that a person,
the ride back was very difficult,
okay, okay.
and the Jats,
Yes, they
they
would loot. They used to
and
plunder
they
the.
they also defeated and they killed many people of that returning army. So they met with tremendous resistance.
But how is it he came 17 times, as we are told?
Yeah, I mean that's another story, but it's not that he had a walk over each time. See, Jaipal, he
Yes,
was the king of Kabul, and then he retreated. His family, 4 generations, sacrificed their lives fighting Mahmoud Ghaznavi.
yes,
So
yes.
it's not that,
No,
you
they
know,
met resistance for 500, 600 years, especially in the north and
yeah.
northwest. But
It
I'm
took
still saying
400 years for the Arabs and Turks to
exactly.
occupy Punjab,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
you
From
know.
from
Yeah,
Muhammad bin Qasim
yes,
to then actually Muhammad Ghori when he defeats Prithviraj Chauhan. I think
yes,
1792, the second
yes, yes,
battle of
yes.
Taneshwar. Yeah, but even so, we have to also, I guess, accept that medieval India or pre-modern India worked in a very different way, and each kingdom and each ruler, though they had a dharmic responsibility, clearly, they didn't see themselves in this civilizational fight. And in fact, till very recently, we ourselves haven't seen ourselves like that. Even today, we don't. I mean,
See, I
look at
just
what's
want
here.
to make 2 points. I'll just make 2 points on Somnath and then this point that, this temple was destroyed by Aurangzeb and again rebuilt by Ahilyabai. So we will stop over there. Now you said, how did we respond? You cannot even imagine how inventive our response was. The Arab invasions began. The popular perception is that there was no warrior class left. So, according to a well established myth, Vashisht, now we know that Vashisht, but that name is used. He conducted an Agni Kul Yagya, an Agni Kul Yagya at Mount Abu, from which 4 people emerged, and they were the founders of 4 Rajput families.
Yes,
So,
yes.
I mean, and those families played an important role in stopping the Arab and Turkish advent. So, I
And
mean,
these families still exist, isn't it?
yes, they do. They do. So, when we factor in the Indian response, I think there's so many factors that have to be factored in. And one thing I wanted to say about Ahilyabai, she built the temple close to the Somnath temple because whenever a temple was rebuilt, the attempt was to make it as close as possible to the original. Because if that original site has been lost, you want to be as close as possible to that. Now, what is remarkable about Ahilyabai's temple is that the ling is not on the ground floor. When you go to a temple, the main murti is on the ground floor. she built an underground cellar so that if anyone attacks, they will not immediately be able to attack the link. So there'll be an underground cellar. A whole army cannot go underground now. So the underground cellar, they will go and the link will be there, and that is the way to protect. So, I mean, to say that we were a wounded civilization, we were actually a civilization under siege.
Yes.
And though we were under siege, we never allowed ourselves to feel under siege. We devised ways that we adhere to our dharma even under siege. Every temple that was destroyed in the medieval period was rebuilt, not on the grand scale, small temples, but the temple name was never forgotten, the deity was never forgotten. And how can we protect the temple? Sometimes we bury the image, sometimes we put in a pond, sometimes we have
Take
an
the image
underground,
somewhere else. Yeah.
sometimes we're underground. So
Underground.
that in Ahilya Bai's thing, you can find that underground place for worshipping Shivling. So, these are very, very fascinating
It's
stories
amazing. In
about.
fact, it's I think extraordinary how neither Alexander nor Muhammad of Ghazni, is mentioned in indigenous records in great
Yes.
length. So it shows how the Sanatani imagination worked. But on that note, thank you.
Just one thing I want to say.
Yes, please, please,
There
please.
was a Jain minister in
Yes.
Gujarat. He was an eyewitness to Mahmoud Ghaznavi's attack on Gujarat. So he has mentioned all the cities that Mahmoud Ghaznavi destroyed before he came to Somnath, and how he tried to destroy a Jain temple on the way back, and he was not able to do that. So,
Oh,
that epics of resistance, what we call epics of resistance, is something that we have not tried to look at.
yes.
There are epics of on Somnath. I should have mentioned it. When Alauddin Khalji's army was going back, they came across the tiny kingdom of Jalore in Rajasthan. Now that king, he took on the army of Alauddin Khalji and really fought it very brilliantly and is supposed to have even decimated it. Now, 5 generations later, that king of Jalore, his whoever was on the throne, he said, how will posterity remember my ancestor? So he got a poet, his court poet, to compose a work describing how his ancestor had defeated the Khalji army. So these records of resistance, the records of resistance can be inscriptions, they can be texts, they can be songs. There is a plethora. There is a
And
plethora.
cultural memory, the
Cultural
repository.
memory. Yeah. The Turkish invasions began. There was a beautiful image of Lord Mahavir. So it was in the Chola kingdom. So a messenger sends a message that the kingdom of the Turks has begun. Roll up that image, you will not need it for a long time. So that image was buried in sand and kept. Now, 2, 3 generations later, there was a very eminent Jain Acharya, Jin Prabhasuri. He goes to Muhammad Tughlaq, and he wants an audience. When Muhammad Tughlaq comes back, he says, "What did you want?" He said, there is an image of ours which has reached your tehkhana, treasury. Can you please give it to us because it has no value for you? So Mahmoud Ghaznavi asks the people to bring it from his treasure house. He looks at that image and he says, "Okay, take it." So these are heroes of ours. Now, this Jin Prabhasuri actually makes a small temple in Delhi and re-establishes that image over there. And he
So
writes
this is
about,
Muhammad Tughlaq, not Muhammad Ghazni, right?
no, Muhammad Tughlaq returns it.
Well, that's
Muhammad
what I'm
bin
saying.
Tughlaq
So
returns it.
that's my point. So it's in
Yeah,
Delhi that this is happening.
yeah.
And that
And
image is still there, right? It's in
I don't know whether it's there or not, but he writes that, the popular joy and people
Joy.
come. And Jin Prabhasuri actually goes to all sacred sites in North India which had been desecrated. And he's written a book also. And what does he say in that? He says to the devotees, don't be disheartened. Your images are as powerful as before. They will continue performing miracles. You go on worshipping them. This kind of revolutionary thought, in Khandit Murti, we don't worship now.
Yes, yes,
So, this kind of thought, I mean, it was always fresh thinking,
yes.
innovative thinking.
Definitely. I mean, even they say that, the Lord Jagannath was a kind
Yes,
of half burnt, desecrated image, which was again revived. But the creativity, the resistance, the tenacity, and
yes,
I mean, it's extraordinary, the stories you say. In
absolutely.
fact, to just to end on a slightly personal note, when I was here, teaching at IIT Delhi, I used to spend a lot of time in Mehroli and these old areas, and I happened to, go to the Ahimsa Sthal and the Jain Darabadi and all that. And someone there told me that all our images, which were destroyed when the first Quwwatul Islam Masjid was built, after the fall of Delhi, we have tried to retrieve so many of these images,
Yes,
even when
yes,
they are broken and they are found
yes,
here. So,
yes,
this resilience, this incredible resilience, and also this cooperation, because not only yourself, Vishnu Jain, others in the Jain community are sort of collaborating with the so-called Hindu community. Now we are seeing ourselves as all divided, but I think the Sanatani and the co-Sanatanis, as I call them,
yes, yes, yes,
definitely saw this threat from outside and
yes,
how they had to pool their resources. But more later. Thank
yes.
you so much for this
Thank you.
fascinating
Thank you.
journey, into our history, our civilizational past, and how, the should I say the ongoing mission to reclaim it is
Yes,
still one of our duties. With those words,
yes.
thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste.